Well, hello, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and I am brought to you by Hope Through Navigation. I'm going to do your Just for Today in a meditation for June the 3rd. June the 3rd. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Let's get into our Just for Today. And let's see. All right. It is entitled Direct and Indirect Amends. We make our amends to the best of our ability. Basic text, page 41. The ninth step tells us to make direct amends wherever possible. Our experience tells us to follow up those direct amends with long-lasting changes in our attitudes and our behavior. That is with indirect amends. For example, say we've broken someone's window because we were angry. Looking soulfully into the eyes of the person whose window we've broken and apologizing would not be sufficient. We directly amend the wrong we've done by admitting it and replacing the window. We mend what we have damaged. Then we allow our direct amends with indirect amends. Rather, then we follow up our direct amends with indirect amends. If we've acted out on our anger, breaking someone's window, we examine the patterns of our behavior and our attitudes. After we repair the broken window, we seek to repair our broken attitudes as well. We try to mend our ways. We modify our behavior and make a daily effort not to act out on our anger. We make direct amends by repairing the damage we do. We make indirect amends by repairing the attitudes that cause us to do damage in the first place, helping ensure we won't cause further damage in the future. Just for today, I will make direct amends wherever possible. I will also make indirect amends, mending my ways, changing my attitudes, and altering my behavior. What a beautiful Just for Today in a meditation. Directed, indirect amends. On the outset, what I believe is that when people go through this particular step, they've done the 8th step and now they're at the 9th step. I believe that there's been this understanding that depending on what your sponsor might say to you about your amends that you're planning to make, you may have to make indirect amends because the person is no longer available. And that's true. That is to some degree very true. You would make indirect amends in a sense where the person is no longer alive. You may consider doing something to benefit a certain cause in their honor, or there may be something else you need to do that's indirect but related to that situation. However, in reading this, it shows or makes more sense that not only are you going to make a direct amends wherever possible, right? But you're also going to have along with that, almost as a partner, right? With the direct amends will be this indirect amends that you make. And what that entails, according to this, will be the behavior, the exact nature, the things that are underlying that people don't directly see as to why you actually broke the window to begin with. Well, you broke the window, yeah, but to begin with, there's an anger issue, anger management issue, right? Not just an anger issue, but because not all anger is bad, but when it is not managed properly, it can become very dangerous, right? To say that you never get angry is false, right? But there probably are some people that get angry and they manage that anger properly. And they can say, well, I never act out on my anger in a way that hurts other individuals. That could be very true, right? So, what we want to do with this reading today is to look at our direct amends and our indirect amends. And the best way that I can describe this when I'm talking to a sponsee that is looking to do some work on their steps and their, make a list of people they've harmed, right? And they're looking to do this process of not seven, but 8, 9, right? And I could say 7, 8, 9, because this is all very much related, right? Our character defects, our shortcomings are very much related to why we end up having a list, right? Our 6 and 7 are related very much to why we have a list of people that we've harmed anyway, because one, we had character defects and we kept falling short with those, and now we've caused harm. So I could easily say 7, 8, 9, but in general, you understand what I'm trying to say, right? Is that we want to look at our direct amends as well as our indirect amends. And when I'm talking to a sponsee, as I start to say, is that sometimes I try to, because my mother is a seamstress, right? Well, or was, she still sews, but she used to make very beautiful wedding gowns for individuals. And when I was in Africa, I had a certain dress that I would wear if I was ministering. And so there were certain material that I needed for these dresses to be made out of. Some people call it chiffon, but it's very light weight, somewhat see-through some of the time, right? Um, but she would make these wedding dresses, and I try to show the sponsee, if you are a person that works at a RV factory and you're making parts, like you're making the seats for inside of an RV or a vehicle that it has cloth or leather seats, the needle and even the machine that you will use to make those is different than the needle that you will use and the machine that you would use to make a wedding gown. And say, for instance, someone comes to you with a tear in their jeans compared to a tear in their shawl, right? A shawl is usually made out of what? Yarn. Okay. So when a person comes to you and you're a seamstress and they need for you to make a mend to this particular piece of cloth or material, denim jean compared to a shawl, which is cotton, the techniques that you will use to repair that damage will be different. And that's the most simplest way that I can make it sound, right? Is that not every injury, not every harm that we have caused is going to require the same level of repair, the same type of strategy. Now, true enough, the position of the heart is going to be humility. That should remain the same in every situation. But how you go about making that amends will vary depending on the injury that has been caused. And likewise, the indirect amends, the changes within the individual's character, their core values, their mindset, those things are going to change as well, depending on the circumstance. And this is why it's very smart, wise to make sure that when you are getting ready to make amends or make a list of people that you owe amends to and determine what amends to make or what strategy to use. You could only clean your side of the street, right? Now, they may have done some things that caused you to want to act a certain way, but you still, at the end of the day, had a choice about your own behavior. That's why you are responsible for your behavior and your side of the street. But it's always smart, always very wise to have your sponsor or that person you trust that you discuss your amend making strategy with. There's some instances where maybe just saying that you're sorry and explaining that you are really remorseful will be plenty for this person. Maybe it's a parent and you know that unconditional love is there and they're just looking for you to acknowledge that you knew you were wrong, right? Your manipulative ways, your self-centeredness cause you to try to get over on the people that you say you love and that you know love you. In some instances, you're going to need to cough that money up. You're going to need to pay that bill back, right? There's some other instances where now the level of dishonesty that you have is become very apparent. Maybe you've cheated on your mate or something, and you may not be able to make a direct amends with them. You may not be able to go and tell them, you know, we've been together 10 years and I've cheated for 9 of those years. The first year was great, but I've been cheating on you for 9 years. You may not be able to go and say that and confess that to them because of the level of harm that it could cause them. And even though you may be willing to change, you are not changing. You are still caught up in this unfaithful behavior. And if that's the case, then they need to be set free from being with you, right? And that's what I would say. They need to be set free from even having you in a relationship, and you need to figure your way out of that relationship. That doesn't mean that you're going to demean them. That doesn't mean that you're going to tell them that you stop loving them after the first year because of whatever, or that you're just so driven sexually that one person is not enough for you and that you've been cheating. No. We're not going to make that sort of an amends by causing further harm. And maybe even dragging other people that your mate might know into this. No, but the proper amends, one, is to figure out why you have an unfaithful spirit, right? Why is lust such a big deal with you? But also the other piece with that would be, do they deserve to continue to think that you're being loyal to them? Maybe they've gotten some STDs and they know that it's not them, so it has to be you, but they're just staying with you anyway. Now, this person needs to be set free in the most mild way possible. And your sponsor needs to be a part of that because you're not honoring them, and nor are you going to honor them. Because what's in your character has not changed. So you and your sponsor need to work on that. But your mate that you claim that you love, they don't deserve to have to endure that behavior, the dangerousness, the instability that can come with that behavior. It's very high risk. And you don't have a right to expose another human being to that. So your strategy for direct and indirect amends would be different when it's involving another person and it's potentially going to cause more harm. And that's why you want to be wise a bit about this. You want to have, your sponsor involved with this, how, deciding how to strategize and how to do it. But I do believe that you have it within you to do. I know that I do, right? There's some patterns that I have that have caused me harm, but they've caused other people more harm. And I have it within me to make those matters right. I am going to end this. I hate to end it so abruptly, but I have just struggled with this long trip to Alabama and back, and my allergies are really acting up. And I just want to say to you that my challenge for you today is to figure out not just the direct amends, but what is the indirect amends that we so often overlook? How are you going to implement this reading in your life? I'm available to talk to you at Recovery of Hope 21, Recovery of Hope 21 at gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to our Just for Today tomorrow for June 4th. And as always, I have forgotten to go back to the main screen. However, I hope that you've enjoyed it as much as I have, and I will talk to you tomorrow.